The topic today is 19 ways to use social media to connect with your donors. A little bit about myself. My name's Tim Beat. I'm the Communication and Fundraising Director at St. Mary Development Corporation, which is a local nonprofit. We're a housing nonprofit. We built more than 2,400 housing units. We built and manage senior apartments, single-family homes, emergency housing. We do a foreclosure prevention. So that's my full-time job. I also do freelance marketing consulting for both for-profit and nonprofit organizations under Energize Copy and Design. Before coming to St. Mary Development, I worked at UD for about 10 years. I was the national marketing manager there, did their alumni website, was their e-marketing manager, campaign communication. So I have a kind of a varied background. I've been a video producer, an advertising copywriter, magazine editor, and a fashion model. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Tim, you were a magazine editor? But let me tell you, it's actually been 44 years since I was a fashion model. I grew up in Greenfield, Massachusetts. Wilson's department store had a back-to-school fashion show. I was 5. I had a trench coat. I couldn't undo the buttons, and I have not walked the catwalk since. What are you going to do? We're going to talk about these 19 ways to use social media, but the way that I've grouped them under the 4 reasons that nonprofits don't use social media to connect with donors. And I've worked for small organizations. Right now, I'm a one-person shop. I do all of our fundraising. I have to enter all the gifts, write all the solicitations, manage the websites, make calls. It's just me. When I was at UD, we had 75 people in a department. But these 4 reasons, you see them whether in big organizations or small organizations. And the 4 reasons that people tell me is, I don't know how to use this technology, I don't know what kind of content to create, I don't have the time, or I don't have the money. And I'm going to go through some tips in each of these areas. It's not, the primary thing is content, but the reason I go through these, I know organizations that have great content to share, and they can create the content, but they don't think they have the time or the money, so they don't do it. And so you have to be able to balance all 4 of these in order to get your message out to donors. And so as I talk today, what I'm saying will fit into to those 4. We only have a little bit of time. I'm going to try to keep some time at the end for questions, and maybe we can have a little bit of dialogue. I'd like to hear things that you're doing, maybe answer a few questions. There are dozens and dozens more than what we have time to go over today. But what I want you to be able to do is go away confident that when somebody in your organization comes forward and you're talking about doing something in social media and they say, well, we don't understand that you have a couple ideas and you can say, well, wait a minute, here are some resources we can use. Or they say, we don't have time in our jobs to be able to do social media. You're able to counteract that a little bit and maybe convert some people and evangelize a little bit and get some people on your side. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is people not understanding the technology, not understanding how to use social media. And I've been using social media since it first came out. I've been doing websites probably for 15 years or more. And so I've seen a lot of different changes. 5 years ago, it was a big deal. You were on the cutting edge of social media. But today, it's getting to the point where when I hear people say, well, I don't know how to use Facebook, I don't know how to do this, it's not ringing true the way that it used to. If you're not using social media or you're not willing to learn it, it's kind of like saying you're not willing to use the telephone. Because there are so many people out there who are using it. I have many donors and volunteers who they prefer to be communicated with through social media. If I'm going to talk to them, I have to use it to talk to them. I can call them on the phone, they won't return calls. Some of them don't use email a lot. Some of them prefer Facebook, for instance. How many of you have people who the telephone or traditional mail is not the best way to contact them? See, there are a lot of hands. So what's happening, we're starting to see a change there. Where it used to be you could reach everybody by picking up the phone. What's going to happen if you don't get into this, you're going to lose a major part of your donors where you're just not going to be able to communicate with them anymore. And it sounds a little bit crazy comparing it to the telephone, but in 1876, there was a Western Union internal memo, and it said, this telephone has too many shortcomings to be seriously considered as a means of communication. The device is inherently of no value to us. And to me, I hear fundraisers today saying the same thing about Facebook. And you know, when you put these side by side, it seems kind of silly. It almost seems kind of stupid, like, well, would somebody say that? But when people look back on it, that's the way they're going to look back on it. It's just going to seem like a big mistake. This happens with technology all the time. In 1977, Ken Olsen, the founder of DEC, said, there's no reason anyone would want a computer in their home. And I think he missed the mark by a little bit, just a little bit. And that was only in 1977. I'm convinced that over the next 5 years or so, there's going to be so many people that if you're not using social media, you might as well cross them off. You can mail them things, you can call them on the phone, but it's just not going to work. And so you really do need to get into this a little bit more. Just let me give you a couple stats, just looking at Facebook. And there's a lot of different social media platforms out there. More than 500 million active users. Half of them log on every day. The average user has 130 friends. People spend 700 billion minutes a month on Facebook, and about half of that is my daughter. But the other half is probably a lot of people. There's a lot of people out there doing it. 700 billion minutes. The average user is connected to 80 pages, groups, and events, and they're creating 90 pieces of content. I can tell you personally, with my family, I don't call them. I use Facebook to share photos and videos and birthday wishes and things all through Facebook. It's just kind of evolved into that. So it's not a small thing anymore. 500 million active users, it means that a significant portion of the people that you connect with, your donors, they're part of that group. They're part of the 500 million. Sometimes I hear people say, our donors are too old, or I'm too old to do this. These stats really kind of blew my mind. Between April 2009 and May 2010, the age group 50 to 64 grew by 88% on social media networks. That's huge, up to 47%. For 65 and older, grew by 100%. But here's the incredible thing. This year, they estimate 480,000 Facebook users will pass away. And so my question is, what are they going to do, like a status update thing? You can say, I'm in a relationship, I'm single, I'm live, I'm dead. There's going to be all these accounts out there. So we're already seeing this. Facebook started with young people. It started with college students. Now we're seeing it get into older audiences. I love this. In 2010, Ivy Bean, the oldest Twitter user, died at 104. The news of her death is published in her Twitter account. It was the first 140-character obituary. And so I look at this and I'm thinking, when somebody says to you at work, I don't know, I didn't grow up with this stuff, just point to Ivy Bean. She was 104. When she was growing up, there was no technology at all. Older people are embracing this. It's not enough to say anymore that I don't understand the technology, because everybody is doing it. My kids can do it. My 6-year-old could use the computer before she could read. Everybody's doing this stuff now. So the real question is, if you don't know a lot about it, how do you learn? What's the best place to kind of, whether you have complicated questions or you're just starting out? And the great thing is, these social media networks want to attract people. So one of the great things they do is they have extensive help sections on their websites. YouTube is the best one. If you go to YouTube into their help section, and just to let you know, I'm going to put all this online, so you can take notes if you want, but if you want the whole PowerPoint presentation at the end, then you can have that too. They have things like, how do I make a video? How do I embed a private video? How do I set my location? How do I write a description? But here's the great thing. You're not reading it. You're watching a video, so you get to hear it. You get to actually see the screen and where they're moving to. And the same is true for Facebook. There's all kinds of ways that you can go in and start to learn right from the ground up. And they're making these easy enough so that they assume you have no technical knowledge. So the technology is not really a big stumbling block. There are some incredible, great free websites out there to learn what other nonprofits are doing with social media. BethCantor.org, JohnHayden.com. You can come and they're looking nationally and saying, what are the trends out there? Here are some good examples. And oftentimes you can look at one of those examples and say, oh, we could do that for our organization. That's a great idea. And you can just kind of pull those ideas so you don't have to come up with all this stuff from scratch. My favorite, though, is I use Google to find everything. And if you go to Google and you search for something like how to use Twitter, how to use YouTube, how to use Facebook, and then you click on the video link, you'll come up with all these videos. So I clicked in how to use Twitter for nonprofits, 1,400 videos there. And I use this not just for work stuff, I use it for home all the time. If I want to know, how do I install a 3-way light switch? And I go to YouTube, there's a video of an electrician walking you through it. You get to, I'm a visual learner, you get to see all of this stuff. You can find any technical question that you have without paying a penny, and you'll find the answer in here. Just to give you an example, you can learn anything. How to build a potato cannon. 2,400 videos on how to build a potato cannon. Isn't that great? So when you go back to work and people say, what did you learn today? You can say, learned how to build a potato cannon. It's a big nonprofit trend, this potato cannon thing. But you can put in anything, any question. And the great thing is, it's other people like you who have done it. People sharing their tips from other nonprofits, experts, and it's all free. So it's really pretty easy to learn some of this stuff. So the bottom line on not knowing how to use the technology is, you can learn it. There's 500 million people have learned it. There are free online resources. But if you don't, you're going to be at a significant disadvantage compared to other nonprofits. You're going to lose a part of your donor base, a part of your volunteer base, because you're not able to communicate with them. The second area is I don't know what type of content to create. And the thing about content is this always has to be your primary focus. Oftentimes nonprofits, they'll be looking at social media or websites, and they got caught up in what should our website look like? Should we be on Twitter? Should we be on Facebook? Where we should be. But if you don't have content, none of that other stuff matters. Because the goal of having a Facebook page or a Twitter account or a website is to provide content there so that your donors and your volunteers can find it. And so you have to know what your donors want and give it to them. The best example of that is Dayton Children's Hospital. If you go to their Facebook page and you see the content they put out there, it's totally, they're not saying we serve this many people or this or that. What they're saying is they're giving information to parents who have kids on health and safety and is there a flu epidemic and all of this type of stuff. So it's great. I love it there. It builds their brand. I'm reading this stuff and I'm feeling better about what they're doing. But the reason is they're giving me information as a father with 4 kids that I need and that I'm interested in. The 2 types of content I'm going to talk about today that are great for donors are stories, specifically client stories, and thank yous. And these are things that are easy to create, they have high impact, and donors just eat them up. And I'm going to show you a few things that we've done at St. Mary Development Corporation, just as kind of examples, but this is stuff that you can do pretty easily too. Let me talk about why stories work. And my undergraduate degree is in psychology. I went on and got an MBA later on, and I like kind of to put the 2 together. And I love this guy, Roger Dooley, who runs a website called neurosciencemarketing.com. What Roger's done is he looks at brain science, how our brains are wired, and how it impacts our behavior. And he brings in all these studies, a lot of which are specifically for nonprofits and have to do with fundraising. And so I just want to show you a few things that I've recently read on Roger's website. The first one is that our brains like stories. And when he does this research, they're wiring people up and looking at brain waves and it's all this really impressive scientific stuff. At Interscope Research, the chief scientist there says, great stories told well, engaging videos and simple take-home messages consistently increase the audience's emotional engagement. And here's the amazing thing. When one person tells a story to another person, they found that their brains mirror each other. The person hearing the story anticipates, and they kind of sync together. And what happens is it makes it much easier to persuade the person. You can persuade them much better by telling a story than by telling them facts. Some people understand facts, some don't. But everybody understands stories. You just have to go back to the Bible. That's what, the parables and all that stuff. That's why it worked, because people, if you start a speech and you say, let me tell you a story, everybody immediately thinks, this is going to be good. Because it's not just facts and everything. Stories have we like stories. We like to hear them. So our brains are kind of wired for stories. Linked to that, and this really blew my mind, when you focus on more than one person, your donors will give less. And they did a study where they got a group of people together and they showed a photo of a single starving child from Mali and the other group had 2 children that they showed, and they identified the kids. And the people shown just 2 children gave 15% less. When they increased it to showing 8 children, the donors gave 50% less. So when you go out, and our first inclination as nonprofits is to say, it's a big problem. There's 1,000 people. People shut off immediately. What they think is, I can't help 1,000 people. But that's why, like the, remember Sally Struthers, those ads for, was it the Save a Child? And they would say, you can sponsor this child. That's why it works. Because I look at that and say, I could help that child. I could do that. And so there's a link there. And so when you're telling stories, it helps your cause a lot. You can always extrapolate. You can tell the story about little Susie, and then you can extrapolate that we have 1,000 more little Susies like that to say how big the problem is. But stories play a real critical role to connecting donors to your cause. Online video is one of the best ways to tell stories. Video has really become king. If you go to like Amazon.com and look at products, you're looking for things, you'll notice that there's a lot of videos showing how to use the products. The reason is they've done studies. If you watch a video about a product, you're much more likely to buy it. It's just become a big thing. At the bottom, you can see here over 2 billion videos are streamed every day on YouTube. We like to watch videos. More than 100 million unique visitors to YouTube every month just in the US. I mean, we're kind of a television society. That plays to your advantage because our brains are wired for motion. When we see something move, it causes us to have to refocus. So if you have a website that just has text on it, that can be good. I mean, that has its place. But if there's motion going on, the person has to refocus all the time. And the other thing is that, and I love this, when you use music, music has a big impact on people, and changes in sound in music cause people to refocus. So when you show a video about your cause, you're causing the person to have to refocus all the time. They're not drifting off as much. And we know that people like to sit back and kind of be spoon-fed. If I said you can read, for a lot of people, if I said, you can read the book or watch the movie, a lot of people would say, well, I'd rather watch the movie. Reading can be work a little bit. So we're doing a lot with online video, and it's been pretty successful for us. I'm going to show you a couple of the videos that we've done. Most of the things we do are very short, 2 minutes or less. Some of them are less than a minute. The first thing I'm going to show you is actually a 20-minute video that we put together. It was almost like a documentary, but I'm going to show you 1 minute of it. And it's about a client telling her own story. Her name was Kathy Atkins. She was a single mom, had health issues and depression, living in Kettering, 3 autistic teenagers. Extreme Makeover came in and didn't, she had applied for that, didn't accept it. The house was a wreck. I got physically sick the first time I went into the house because of the smell. She had a 17-year-old daughter who isn't potty trained and has the IQ of a 2-year-old. She had significant issues. Now I can write about that, and I'm a writer, and I can write that down, but just take a look at this of Kathy and her son Bobby, and when you hear it directly from the client, it makes a bigger impact.
It was so hard for me to get things organized. I was sick for a while. The house got into disrepair. I found out some things about the house during the time that they were working on it that was completely unhealthy, and that was probably contributing to my being sick. It just got to the point I was losing my brain. My brain just could not focus on any one thing.
Everything was pretty much everywhere. It just did not really feel right. It felt really nice when we first moved in there, but as I got older, it just started to change a bit, and over the years, because of my sister Katie getting more difficult, it's been really tough.
So in my experience, I can sit down and I can write a story about that, but it loses everything that is actually seeing them. In a lot of cases in our work where we're dealing with housing, I can't bring donors in to where clients live. And many times we're doing things in Dayton neighborhoods that aren't very safe, and our donors don't want to go to those neighborhoods. But the video can bring it to them. I can bring the stories to them. This is a short video. Video allows you to show how you make a difference in people's lives, showing the services that you provide, kind of how you're touching people. And notice in this, I'm all about creating video that's very easy to create, and I'll get into that in a little bit. Anybody in here can create the videos that I've created here. So it's not very long. Now what's interesting, that one of the things that I found is that music is key. If you put photos together with music, you can do it quickly. And there's a lot of great music out there you can buy. I buy these CDs that have royalty-free music. I can use it, and it's legal for me to use. And you buy it by mood, so you can pick melancholy music and motivational music. You just go through and you drop it in with a few photos, and it creates an experience that's much different than just having text online. And if you can get pictures of old people with pets, that helps a lot too. That's a really cool. Now, if you can use PowerPoint, you can create simple videos using software that's already on your computers. If you use a PC, you have PowerPoint and you have Movie Maker. I use a Mac, and they have something called Keynote and iMovie. If you have those two things, you can create simple videos. And what I want to show you here is this entire video is in PowerPoint. There's no video in it. It's just pictures that I brought into PowerPoint and threw some music behind it. And what we use this for on a web page, we're just launching this. We use this to convince people to give us their email address to learn more about our ministry and our nonprofit. It's kind of a starting point. So we're assuming people don't know really anything about us, but they've just kind of stumbled onto this page. to the page, that's kind of the first thing that they're seeing. Now, I have a 10-year-old daughter that's creating videos. My wife is creating videos. It's not a big deal to do simple things like this. Some of them are complicated, but you don't have to buy any new software. Most of you have a digital camera. You probably have photos already. The camera that I have right here takes video too. So it's not a big deal anymore. It used to be. I did video production 20 years ago, and I can do on a Mac now in 5 minutes what took me days to do. But it's meant for people doing home movies, so it's really all pretty easy to do. You can record events that you're already doing and then share them with a larger audience. And this is a great example. On the Atkins project, I was there one day, we're working on the house, and they come to take away the dumpster. And I'd never seen them do that before. I was like, well, how do they do this? So I videotaped it, and Waste Management had donated this to us, this dumpster. So I just created this little thing to send out to our volunteers and to Waste Management. So you might think, well, what's the purpose of something like that? Well, I wanted to show it to volunteers, but here's the great unanticipated benefit. I put it on YouTube. Waste Management played this in their employee break room for weeks. They thought this, because that's their business, they thought this was the greatest thing. They had donated this. So we actually got the information about the project into all of their employees. It was kind of an unanticipated, little unanticipated benefit. You can show donors and volunteers in action. So many times you're working on a project and people are saying, well, what can I do? If you hand a camera to somebody, just say, take some photos of this. It's a great way to thank people. And then what happens is, for those volunteers and donors, if you put this online, they're going to show it to their family and friends. It's no different than, my daughter's in dance, and we'll take a video of her and send it to the grandparents to see, and they share it with their friends. People will just start to share this stuff. So this was a project. Now this is one of my favorites. If you have a webcam on your computer, and if you have a newer computer, it has one, you can create a video in 15 minutes. And Reynolds and Reynolds has, every month they do a thing where you can wear jeans to work, and you have to pay $2 to do it, and then they give it to a nonprofit. Well, one day I got a check in the mail, and it was a pretty significant check from them, but I don't know who the donors are, because it's all their employees. So I thought, well, what can I do? So this is a video I did. It took me 15 minutes. I just did one take by clicking a button on my computer and using the webcam. Hi, this is Tim Beat at St. Mary Development Corporation. I'm the communication director here. Just last week we got this incredible letter from Reynolds & Reynolds about how all the staff there paid $2 a day to wear jeans, and it seems that you wore jeans for 1,370 days, which is the equivalent of 3 years and 9 months. Incredible, and sends us a check totaling $2,740 to help us provide homes, low-income senior apartments, single-family homes for working families. Just incredible. We can't believe it. So thank you to all the staff at Reynolds & Reynolds. We're thrilled with your support and what you're able to do with us. Please pass this message on to everybody who wore jeans. We hope you continue to wear jeans all the time because it helped us out so much. Thank you. Here's the interesting thing. Immediately, I got, when I sent this to their PR people, they said, we have a problem. We want to share this with everybody, but we have YouTube locked down so employees can't watch it. Will you give us the video so we can put it on our internal network? So there was a great thing. They thought this was a great way to thank people. The benefit for us is, you notice, I got in a little bit about who we are, what we do, here's our website. So everybody was thrilled, 15 minutes. I mean, there's a lot of donors, and you probably have donors like this you can't get in front of. It's a new way to get in front of them. And when I've done these, people just really seem to eat it up. You can use Twitter and Facebook for short thank yous, and we do a lot of this. I'm not sure if you can read that, but we had, on the Atkins Project, we had about 63 organizations and 200 volunteers. And I wanted to thank the 63 organizations. So I sent out on Twitter, this one says, thank you Amish Handcrafted Furniture for helping the Atkins family. And it has a link with it to the full video of the entire project with their name at the end again. And this is my freelance consulting account, but I have 9,400 followers on this account. So it went out to 9,400 people. The neat thing about this is Twitter now has a built-in video viewer. So without leaving Twitter, because I put the video link in there, people can watch it, the entire video, right within Twitter. Now in this case, I don't even know who this Ohio Places is, but when I was sending those out, they took one of them because it was an Ohio organization, and they sent it out to all of their friends. So there's 1,000 more people that the message and the video went out to. So you don't know how it's going to spread, but it's saving me time and the whole time. We also use Facebook fan pages to thank donors. This is a fan page for our website, thankfulhome.org, and it's a website where we talk about housing projects, what a blessing it is to have a home, and people share their experiences. And so in this case it says, thank you Beaver Creek Christian Church for helping the Atkins Project. We have just under 1,200 people who have clicked like on this page, so that message goes out to all of them. So I did 63 of these, and I'll talk about how I did it in a little bit. 63 organizations, so 63 thank yous went out on Twitter, 63 on Facebook. I use my personal Facebook page to thank donors as well. In this case, Betty Cornwell was one of the lead volunteers on this. And you can tag people in Twitter and Facebook, so she'll definitely get the message. So in this case, I sent it out to everybody that I know. So they're seeing the video, and it's a great way to publicly thank Betty. So what would happen if you thanked one person or organization a day on Facebook or Twitter for a year? It takes you, we're talking a couple sentences. You think about all your volunteers, your donors, organizations, 365 pieces of new content in only a few minutes a day. And I'll tell you, people love it. When I did those thank yous, 2 of them were corporations that weren't around here. One of them was Behr Corporation, Behr Paint in California. Another was U-Haul. And they donated locally, but I thanked them on Twitter, and their PR departments picked it up, shared it with all of their people, and they were so appreciative that we had thanked them publicly. It's like thanking somebody at an event. Everybody gets to see it. So there are a lot of, especially organizations, they love to be thanked publicly because they know other people are kind of seeing this as well. So the bottom line on content is you can create short videos, you can do thank yous, it's easy. if that's all you did, you would be way, way ahead of most nonprofits. You know, you could if you did you know, a video every week or every other week that was short, like a minute long. Think over a year, you're going to start to amass all of this content. So then when people ask you questions about your nonprofit, I use old videos a lot for that. Somebody will say, well, what's it like to live in Wright Place, which is one of our senior buildings? I say, well, let me show you some city videos of what daily life is like there, because I have a whole bunch of them. I can just send them out to them. So you end up repurposing the content on an ongoing basis. What if you don't have the time to do this? And it's probably one of the biggest things that people say is, I already have a busy job. I'm going to talk to you about some tools that that allow me to do this efficiently, because I'm a one-person shop. And at the end, I'm going to take you through kind of an analysis of these tools, and I'm going to show you how I save 86 hours a year just by using a few inexpensive tools to do what I'm doing. The first two, one's called Posterous, which is a free online application, and the other is called Social Oomph. And what these do is, I can go in to one place and post a message and say, send this to all my social media sites. So with Social Oomph, I can send it to multiple Twitter accounts, multiple Facebook pages, fan pages. Rather than going in and posting things 7 or 8 times, I do it once, and then it goes out. I can also say when I want it posted. So let me tell you one little trick, because I don't have time every day to post things, and I was worried about that. So one of the things I did is I created content that wasn't news content. It didn't matter when it went out. And what I did is I had UD students do this for me. We compiled about 300 quotes about being thankful for your home. And what I do is I drip those automatically. I put them into Social Oomph. And every day, 3 or 4 of those go out. I don't do anything. And then when it gets to the end of 3 months, they start to repeat again. So if I don't put anything on for a week, if I don't get to that account for a week, there's been about 20 new pieces of information. Now, does it work? Well, I know people comment on them, and I know they hit the like button on them, so it does work. So there are things you can do that, and then what I do is I fill in when I have more newsy information, but it's kind of like somebody's doing this 24 hours. If I go on vacation, there's still content being put out there. So it's a huge, huge savings. Aweber is something that we just started to use. It manages your email, helps you send bulk email, but it has something called autoresponders. And what an autoresponder is, it's a series of emails that will be sent out based on an action by somebody on your website. So as an example, typically what happens is if somebody comes and signs up for your newsletter on the 5th of the month, and they'll get an email back saying, thank you for subscribing to the newsletter, but maybe it could be 3 weeks before they get the newsletter, right? Because the newsletter goes out to everybody at the same time. What autoresponders allow you to do is start that process based on when somebody takes an action. So what we're doing is we've created a web page. When people come in and they give us their email address for the first time, they're going to get a series of emails that I want to go out to every person who's kind of new to our organization and to teach them about it. And they'll go out every 3 days or so from me. And I don't have to do anything. It starts based on when they put in their email address. So the first one welcomes them. The second one might tell them about volunteering opportunities. The third one might tell them about here's a fundraising campaign that we have going. The great thing about that is once it's set up, it just it churns there. Then we continue to send them the newsletter and the other information. But you can set these up on any page. So for instance, if you have an event, you could set it up so that automatically when somebody registers for the event, they start to get a series of emails from you so they don't forget, invite your friends and things like that. And you don't have to send those out individually or go into a bulk system to do it. It does it all automatically. You can post videos to multiple sites at the same time. TubeMogul is a free service that's like Social Oomph for videos, and this is the biggest time saver. If I wanted to upload a video to Yahoo Videos and YouTube and all these other video sites, it would take me forever. I'd have to go into every one of those sites and upload it, and it takes a long time. What TubeMogul does is I go and upload the video once, I connect it to my other sites, and I say go, and it sends it to all of those sites automatically and publishes it there. So rather than taking 4 times or long, and there are hundreds of video sites out there, rather than uploading a video 10 times, I upload it once. So it's saving me a huge amount of time. You can get donors and volunteers to spread the word for you. I do this all the time, and all you have to do is come right out and ask them to do it. So in this case, this is on the Facebook page we created for the Atkins Project. And I just asked those volunteers, I said, here's the video, make sure you share it with everybody. And you can see next to it, one of the volunteers, she shares it with her friends, and you start to get these views. And volunteers love to do that because oftentimes we're looking for things that people can do where it's not asking them for money and they don't have to go somewhere to do it. And this makes them feel connected, and all they have to do is click a button. But since the average person has 130 friends, if you have 100 people only, and each of them has 130 friends, and you can get them to share it, you hear these things about going viral. That's where all these people start to know about your organization, and they're going to learn more about it and be more likely that they come back to your website. So here's the complicated part, and for you numbers people, I just wanted to put this in. This is the process that I use, and this is how I save 86 hours a year. What I do is I take a video and I upload it to TubeMogul, and that automatically sends it to 4 different sites. YouTube, Yahoo, MetaCafe, and Blip TV. So it uploads it. So it's one step for me, but it gets posted to 4 places. Do you follow me? But if I didn't use TubeMogul, I would have to go to 4 places to put it in. Then I go to our main website. It's a WordPress website, and I pull in the videos. I do a blog post there, and I pull in the video from YouTube. So I'm putting it in one place. It takes me one step to put it there. But then I go to Social Oomph, and I take the link to our WordPress post, and I sent it out to 2 Twitter accounts and to a Facebook account. So it's one step, but it's going to 3 places. Do you follow what I'm saying? So here's the bottom line. It took me 3 steps to send a post to 8 places. Now, what if I wanted to add a site to that, which we're looking at doing? If I had more pages, no more steps. Once I add that site, and it automatically goes there. It's eliminated me. If I did it by hand, I would have to do 1,040 additional posts. And I figured that would take me about 86 hours a year based on 4 stories a week. Now, the total cost was $360 in those services. Some of them were free. Some of them I had to pay for, so about $4 an hour. But the great thing is, as I add to that, it costs me nothing. So it's almost like having an assistant involved. The bottom line is I couldn't do my job without tools like this. There would be no way that I could begin to do it as a one-person shop. Most people give up at nonprofits, and how many blogs have you seen that they get posts for 1 week and another person realizes this is a lot of work to do? You have to use these tools, especially if you're a small shop. But even if you're a large organization, these tools can save you a lot of time. So it's really like having an assistant to help you along. What if you don't have the money, and if you're a small nonprofit, you probably don't have a lot of marketing budget. There are dozens of free and low-cost services that make social media easier, and I want to go over a few of these here. We heard about Flyer Consulting, another great one. There's people who want to do website design, and they'll help you do your work for you. YouTube has a nonprofit program. It's free, but there is an application process. Great program. Here are the benefits you get. You can upload bigger videos. I can upload 20 gigabyte files, which means I could upload a mini series as one video. Now, most people can't do that, but if you're in the nonprofit program, you can. You can drive fundraising through a Google Checkout donate button. You get listed on nonprofit channels. The biggest thing to me is this, the ability to add a call to action overlay. What does that mean? When you come to my YouTube videos, I can put a link right in the video that sends you to someplace else. Now, you see those sometimes, they're paid ads in there. I can do my own. So if I'm doing a video about an event that's coming up, I can put a link in the video to click to go to the register to the event, or a donate button, or more information. Well, that's a huge free benefit, and they only do that for nonprofits. I haven't used it, but you can also post a video opportunity on the volunteer platform if you're looking for somebody to create videos for you. There's a lot of people out there. So once you're in the program, you may be able to find somebody out there that would actually create the videos for you. So that's kind of a nice thing. I'm a big fan of YouTube. What if you don't have even have a website? I've been using homestead.com probably for over 10 years. Only costs $5 a month to start with. It's really, if you can use PowerPoint, it's all drag and drop, you can create a website. And you might say, well, we already have a website. But a lot of organizations run into this, and I use this at UD a ton. And you might think, well, the University of Dayton, they have a lot of web people. They do, but the problem was when you're a big organization, I couldn't do it quickly. So if I needed a niche site, let's say for an event coming up, and your tech people are busy, and I just needed like a couple pages, I could go into homestead.com and just knock the thing off. Drag and drop, here's registration information, and then I would have a web page that people could go to. And I've probably created 30 sites like this. They do all the hosting for you, they provide graphics, they actually have templates based on industry, so that if you work with seniors, they have templates for seniors, and they already have photos and things in there. So you can kind of get up and running very quickly. Creative Fuse is an organization that we've used. They're a little bit higher end. They cost about $50 an hour, but it's a great, great local nonprofit. And here's what they're about. There was a group of people that got together, and they didn't want recent college grads who were creatives, writers and designers leaving the area. And they wanted to teach them, how do you run a freelance business? So they created this nonprofit, and with a for-profit arm where they do real work, kind of like Flyer Consulting, but it's at a higher end. They're people in their 20s, but it's really kind of high-end development. We use them to develop a website, to do a YouTube channel for us, and kind of a Twitter skin, and I'll show those to you in a second. Incredible, incredible resource. They're located downtown. The service is great. For the work that they did for me, I would probably pay 3 times as much if I went to a regular firm. So if and they've done all kinds of programming, database things, very sophisticated things. They work in WordPress, so the site's easy for me to manage afterwards, but a dynamite organization if you have a project that's a little bit bigger. This is just an example. That's our website that has the blog in the middle, and what they did is they created a YouTube channel and Twitter skins so everything looks integrated. And they did all of it for me. I gave them guidance, and they deployed everything and did the training and the whole bit. Very, very good organization. I just started using these guys. There's a nonprofit called Urban Connection out in LA. They work on Skid Row with the homeless. And they created this, it's a group of technology people from around the country called Web Servants. And for $35 a month, these are people who want to volunteer their time for nonprofits using their professional skills. And they'll do things like designing complicated Facebook pages, websites, $35 a month. I mean, normally you would pay 3 times that for an hour of a programmer's work. So it's very inexpensive, and their hearts are in it. You can go online there, and there's like an application process, and then you just work remotely with these people, so you can get work done. I've been using PayPal to take donations for years. Some people are still they get leery about online donations still. PayPal did $27 billion in transactions in the last quarter of 2010. I've never had a problem with them. There are no setup fees for you to take donations through them. You pay a transaction fee and a credit card percentage, which you would no matter where you went. And on a $100 gift, it averages about $250. So it's a great way if you want to take online donations. You can use unpaid social media interns. A lot of college and high school students, they're already experts in how to use Facebook. They might not know about your cause, but they really can do the work for you. And as I said before, I've used University of Dayton students for the past 3 years to write stories, Twitter posts, video content. If you have a camera, oftentimes what I did is I bought a couple extra cameras. I just loan them to people. I'll give them to a student and say, go do this, especially when somebody they have to get these volunteer hours where it's not a lot of time. It's perfect. I'll say, here, we have 2 events. Go and videotape them for us. Because that's a huge benefit to me. I can't be at all of them. They bring the content back to me. I do the editing and get it online. And so you can end up with an army of people. Plus, it doesn't seem like work. For a lot of people, they're like, I get to go and take pictures. You know, it's just kind of a fun thing for them to do. And when I work with UD interns, most of the work is at home, which means I get people that I wouldn't have otherwise. I meet with them once, and then everything else is done online, all the communication. So if they want to work on it at 3 in the morning, I don't care. I mean, why would it matter to me? So the internships can work out real well. You can get more people. So the bottom line there is there's a lot of social media tools that are either free or inexpensive. Cost really shouldn't be a factor. All the social media sites are free to start with. So even if you didn't have a website, you could use the things that I'm talking about here. If all you had was a Facebook account, you could start, that could be your website. You could be doing fundraising, providing content. You can get going. If you do have your own website and some of these other things, then you're already at an advantage. So those are just a few things. We've just scratched the surface. I have lists and lists and lists of services that I've tested and tried over the years. But you can learn to use social media. You can create this content easily. You can save time and become more efficient, and you can do it on a small budget. And so I hope when you go back, even if you're a one-person shop, to your organization, and people are saying, well, we can't do this, we don't have the money. You don't. You don't need the money. You don't need a lot of time to get started. If you just created a Facebook page and thanked people every day for a year, that would be a great start. And what will happen is you'll get the success so that people start to think, maybe we should be doing more of this. This is a good thing. But you can start small and expand. So I hope the things I've gone over today, there's been some resources that you can go away with. And what I'd love to do is have a little bit of a discussion. I'd be glad to answer questions, but to hear a little bit about what you're doing, maybe you have some ideas that you'd like to share with people here. So let's just open up the floor.